Matt, listen, I know this is right after the wedding, but I'm going to live separately. I've thought about this a lot today, and I think it would be the best option for you and I for a little while. Oh, and about the living expenses, I'll need $3,500 a month. That should be fine, right?
Huh? Carla, what's going on? We literally just got married. The ceremony ended barely an hour ago. We still have the reception to attend, and now you're suddenly announcing you want to live separately? I'm sorry, but could we save all of this for later after we've celebrated today with all of our family and friends?
Well, you see, I'm actually feeling a bit queasy.
Queasy? What do you mean?
Yeah, it started right around the end of the ceremony. I think it's morning sickness. I talked to Smith just a little while ago when we crossed paths, and he suggested that I should take some time off work and move straight into maternity leave.
Wait, Smith said that? What's going on here? I thought we were in this together. Why are you suddenly making decisions like this without talking to me first?
Don't get me wrong, I wasn't planning on dropping this on you, but the nausea hit me hard and Smith was there. He thought it would be best if I took it easy for now. I've decided I'm not going into work tomorrow. I'll let my employer know later about officially starting maternity leave. And about tonight's reception, I can't handle it. It's all on you now, okay? I'm heading back to my parents' place. Oh, one more thing. Could you submit our marriage registration at the ward office by yourself? I'm really sorry to ask, but I'm not feeling up to it.
Fine, but, don't you think this is a bit extreme? Saying you want to live separately and then throwing out a number like $3,500 a month for living expenses? It feels excessive.
Matt, I heard something. Did you get transferred to the Michigan branch?
Wait, who told you that?
Well, I got a message from a coworker I'm close to. They were worried and reached out to let me know.
That's odd. I just got the transfer order an hour ago. I haven't even told anyone outside the company yet. I was planning to tell you first.
Oh, I guess my coworker got word somehow and wanted to check in on me. I'm sorry if it seemed like I jumped the gun.
All right. Anyway, yeah, it's true. I've been reassigned. And I'll admit the timing is something else. It's almost like the universe knew we'd end up living apart the moment we got married.
What do you mean by that?
Come on, Carla, think about it. We rushed the wedding because we found out you were pregnant, right? Then, as soon as the ceremony ends, you announce you're feeling sick and head back to your parents' house to start maternity leave. Now, the day after, I get this transfer order. I can't imagine bringing my pregnant wife along for such a big move. That'd be too much strain on you physically and emotionally. And so I have no choice but to go alone, leaving us in this awkward, separated state.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I hadn't thought of it like that.
Yeah, it's just something I've been mulling over. But hey, it's not like I have a choice. When Smith personally asks me to step up because no one else can handle this, what am I supposed to do? I had to agree.
That makes sense. If even Smith is asking you directly, there's no way you could have refused. He's next in line to be the company president, after all.
Exactly. Anyway, about our current apartment, I think we need to terminate the lease and move out.
Huh? Why?
Well, think about it. I'm relocating to Michigan, and you're staying at your parents' place. Neither of us is going to be living here, right? Besides, this is just a one-bedroom apartment I rented when I was single. It's going to be way too cramped once the baby arrives. We'd have to start looking for a bigger place anyway. With the lease renewal coming up in 2 months, it makes more sense to cancel now rather than paying rent for an empty apartment. Once we're ready to live together again, we can look for something more suitable.
Yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
Plus, I'll need to rent a new place in Michigan for the time being. It'd be more practical to bring the stuff from this apartment with me.
Got it. That's reasonable.
All right, then. I'll start the process of ending the lease and packing up.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Wow, that was one whirlwind of a move! Don't laugh about it. For me, this was nothing short of a battlefield. I know, man. I want to cheer you up, but honestly, I don't even know what to say to my best friend when he's going through something like this, so cut me some slack here, okay? What's that supposed to mean? No, seriously, I mean it. Still, thanks for sticking by me. Of course. So what's the plan now? How are you gonna handle this mess? First things first, I need to gather evidence. Figures, I get it. Honestly, that blurry photo I snapped in the heat of the moment probably doesn't hold up as solid proof. If only I'd been quick enough to record their damning conversation instead. Sorry about that. No, it's not your fault. If anything, you gave me a crucial lead about their scheme. I wouldn't have realized they were planning to get me out of the picture with this phony transfer. And it's already happening just like you said. Oh, by the way, my wife's friend happens to be a lawyer. She's also got connections with a private investigator. They even do online consultations. Want me to hook you up? For real? Please do. All right, I'll pass your number along to her. She'll get in touch with you soon. Thanks, man. I owe you.
Hey, Matt, it's about time you sent over that $3,500 for living expenses. I really need it.
Wait, you were serious about that?
What? Are you seriously telling me you're not planning to send it?
Well, I figured I'd cover the basics like groceries or other essential costs since you're staying at your parents' place. But $3,500, that's a bit much.
Come on, hurry up and transfer the money. I need it for maternity and baby supplies. These things add up, you know.
Not to downplay it, but when my sister was expecting, she didn't spend anywhere near that much.
What?
Also, $3,500 is almost my entire paycheck. If I send you that, I won't have enough to live on myself.
What are you talking about? Don't you have another source of income from stock investments?
Stock investments? Where'd you get that idea?
I overheard you talking in the company cafeteria with your coworkers. They said you're making $10,000 a month from stock investments.
Oh, that. Yeah, I think there's been a misunderstanding. That wasn't about me.
Huh? What do you mean?
It was just a casual conversation. One of my coworkers mentioned his sister, who happens to be a scenario writer for a game app. She was working on a story about a character who's into stock investments and makes $10,000 a month. From there, the conversation shifted to a relative of mine who got lucky with stocks once, made $10,000 in a month, got overconfident, and then lost everything on a risky bet. It was just small talk about how unpredictable the stock market can be. None of it had anything to do with me personally.
Wait, so you don't have any income besides your salary?
That's right. Honestly, I don't have the temperament for stock trading anyway. It's way too stressful for me.
Seriously? What the hell?
I see now. So you picked me as your fake marriage partner because you thought I was loaded.
What? Fake marriage? What are you talking about?
You'll find out tomorrow. I got some business to take care of now. Later.
Hey, what is the meaning of this? Demanding a DNA test for the baby? Are you serious?
If there's nothing to hide, then agreeing to it shouldn't be a problem.
Why are you even doubting me? It's obvious the baby is yours. There's no reason for a DNA test.
I'm asking for the test because there's now a very real possibility that the baby isn't mine.
What?
I've already hired a lawyer and decided to move forward with this matter through proper channels.
A lawyer?
The fact that a lawyer took on my case means I'm not being unreasonable or making baseless accusations.
What are you saying?
Your affair with Smith has come to light.
That's not true.
That's not all. Smith is a married man and his wife just happens to be the daughter of our company's CEO. That connection is likely the only reason Smith is still the next in line for the CEO position, but now his actions have jeopardized that position. It's also clear that to protect his status, Smith likely conspired with you to pin the baby, which is probably his, on me. Not to mention, you both apparently thought I was some kind of stock market wizard rolling in money, so you tried to squeeze $3,500 a month out of me, all while using me as a convenient excuse to cover for your little rendezvous.
Hold on. How did this even come out? I thought everything was fine. We even went through with the wedding. I was sure there was no way we'd get caught.
Someone saw you and Smith getting cozy in a corner right after the wedding reception ended.
What?
They also snapped a photo, even if it's a little blurry, and they overheard enough of your conversation to realize you two were scheming to pass the baby off as mine. After that, I spent the last month, while we were separated, collecting evidence through a private investigator, consulting with my lawyer about paternity tests, and figuring out the next steps for filing a lawsuit. All of this on top of adjusting to a new job in my transfer location. Let's just say it's been a busy month.
Wait, just calm down, okay?
I am calm.
But think about it. Even if the baby isn't yours on paper, it'll still be legally registered as yours once it's born.
That's why there are legal procedures to correct these kinds of mistakes. My lawyer has already briefed me on what needs to be done.
But come on, you don't want to be that guy, do you? Getting divorced so soon after the wedding would be terrible for your reputation, don't you think?
Oh, about that, there's no divorce happening.
Huh? What do you mean?
Because I never submitted our marriage registration in the first place.
What? You didn't file it? Why?
Because your affair came to light right before I could submit it. Naturally, I put it on hold.
No way.
Oh, and by the way, our families already know. So does Smith's wife and her father, the CEO.
You told them?
Did you seriously think I could resolve all this without telling them?
Oh no. Oh, this is the worst. Hey, Matt, could you lend me some money?
Wow, you actually had the nerve to message me. Guess I forgot to block you after leaving everything to my lawyer. Oops, my bad.
Wait, don't block me yet.
What do you want?
Will, Smith and I...
Ex-department head Smith, you mean? He had to quit after the scandal, didn't he?
Yes, we were forced to make it official and get married, but as soon as the baby was born, Smith's family arranged for the baby to be adopted by his brother and sister-in-law. We had agreed to cut all ties and even sign legal documents promising to never claim parental rights.
Not surprising. It'd be unfair to the child to grow up knowing their parents were the product of an affair.
And now, both of us are unemployed. The settlement payments wiped us out financially and we're in debt.
Okay, and what's your point?
Smith, my husband, won't even try to find a job. We're barely scraping by, and I was hoping you could lend me some money. Maybe we could even try again. I mean, for real this time. I could give you a child of your own.
Nope, absolutely not.
What?
Do I really need to explain why?
Matt, please. I heard you got transferred back to your original office. I'm actually outside your company right now. I'll wait for you.
You can wait as long as you like. You won't see me.
Huh? Why not?
I quit.
What?
Yep, my last day was 2 days ago.
You're kidding.
Nope, call it perfect timing. Well, this is goodbye for real. Take care, Carla.
Wait, Matt, please.
At this point, it seemed that Carla had been lingering in front of the company for over an hour, walking back and forth, seemingly lost in her own thoughts. Her actions, which were erratic and unusual for someone who had once been composed and methodical, did not go unnoticed. Someone had spotted her wandering around, and in response they must have thought it necessary to report what they saw to the authorities. As a result, Carla ended up in a situation that nobody could have anticipated. She found herself involved with the police. The whole scene had taken a sharp turn, and what began as a simple, solitary moment of confusion for Carla had escalated into something far more serious. The discovery of Carla's unusual behavior triggered a series of events that no one could have foreseen. What was perhaps more unsettling, however, was that her behavior eventually revealed something deeper, something that had been hidden for a while. It was exposed that Carla had been attempting to contact me, reaching out in an attempt to reconcile. Now, this information reaching her husband Smith was the tipping point. As if the situation wasn't already volatile enough, Smith's reaction was explosive. In a fit of fury and disbelief, he confronted Carla, and their confrontation quickly spiraled out of control. The argument between them grew increasingly heated, and before long things escalated into a chaotic and dangerous exchange. The domestic violence that followed was so intense that it resulted in knives being thrown, not just figuratively, but literally. The severity of their argument, which quickly turned violent, necessitated another visit from the police. It was yet another embarrassing and damaging incident for the couple. However, the repercussions of this event were far-reaching. It wasn't just a case of a couple arguing or an emotional breakdown on the part of Carla. This incident had caused a ripple effect that reached their families. Both Carla and Smith had at one point been estranged from their families, but the seriousness of the situation forced both sets of parents to intervene. In a rare moment of reconciliation, the two families decided to sit down and have a serious discussion about the future of the couple. Despite the tremendous tension between Carla and Smith, the decision was made that they were not going to get a divorce immediately. This decision, rather than offering relief, only added to the bitterness of the situation. Neither Carla nor Smith were happy with this decision, but they were forced to accept it due to the pressure from both families. It became clear that the familial expectations were weighing heavily on them, and that was not something either of them could easily escape. At this point, the only solution presented to the couple was to move far away from everything that had happened, away from the memories of their relationship breakdown, and start anew. This solution came in the form of a distant relative who offered to employ them. The relative arranged for them to be hired as live-in workers at a mansion located in a remote part of the country. This offer was not made out of kindness, but rather as a way to distance Carla and Smith from their prior lives, and presumably to give both of them a way to avoid further scandal. The idea was that this job would be a fresh start, a clean slate, away from the toxic environment they had created for themselves. However, the reality of their new life in the mansion was far from what they had imagined. The mansion's owner was a man of considerable wealth and influence, but he was also someone whose personality could only be described as deeply eccentric and, in many ways, inflexible. His strictness bordered on obsessive, and he ran the household with a level of rigidity that could only be described as extreme. It became apparent that the mansion was no sanctuary for Carla and Smith, but a prison. Every day they were subjected to a level of surveillance that was uncomfortable and invasive. No part of their day went unnoticed. They were constantly watched, monitored at all times, from the moment they woke up to the moment they went to sleep. This unyielding surveillance created a sense of constant tension in the air. There was always the feeling that someone was watching, judging, and waiting for the slightest mistake. It was a constant reminder of the lack of control they had over their own lives. In this strange, oppressive environment, Carla and Smith's physical and mental health began to deteriorate. They were expected to work without any real breaks, performing tasks that were both physically demanding and emotionally draining. The mansion, with its high ceilings and cold, imposing walls, felt like a fortress rather than a home. The work they were given was grueling, and it never seemed to end. No matter how much they did, it never felt like enough. The owner's expectations were unreasonably high, and his temperament was unforgiving. If they made even the smallest mistake, it would be met with harsh reprimands or worse. Their lives had become one long, never-ending cycle of work and anxiety. There was no room for personal reflection or relaxation. The idea of taking a break, even for a moment, seemed like a luxury they could no longer afford. The constant pressure began to weigh heavily on both Carla and Smith. Over time, they found it increasingly difficult to maintain any semblance of emotional connection with each other. The stress and the strain of their new life was simply too much. The couple that had once fought for a second chance at love now found themselves distant, their connection eroding as the days went by. The mansion, with its imposing owner and constant surveillance, was like a pressure cooker, with Carla and Smith stuck in the middle, slowly being crushed by the weight of their situation. It wasn't just the physical exhaustion of the work that drained them, but the psychological toll of always being watched. There was no privacy, no moments of solitude where they could simply be themselves. Every action was under scrutiny, and every word they spoke was carefully monitored. This kind of constant surveillance wore away at their sense of identity, leaving them feeling more like servants than human beings. Over time, it became clear that the mansion was not a place of healing or redemption. Instead, it was a place where both Carla and Smith were being broken down, piece by piece. They were no longer the people they had once been. Their former dreams, ambitions, and desires had been replaced by a desperate need to simply survive. Every day was a struggle to endure, to make it through another set of tasks, to avoid making any mistakes that might bring down the wrath of the mansion owner. They had become shells of their former selves, trapped in a life they hadn't chosen, their futures uncertain. As the weeks turned into months, the toll of this lifestyle became even more apparent. Carla and Smith were no longer able to communicate effectively, their relationship fraying at the edges. There was no time to rebuild the bond they had once shared. They were just two people working side by side, going through the motions without any real connection. The mansion owner's constant surveillance had drained them of their energy, leaving them physically weak and emotionally exhausted. The emotional scars of their troubled past had been further deepened by the oppressive atmosphere of the mansion. What had started as a chance for a new beginning had turned into an extended nightmare. At this point, Carla and Smith were no longer even attempting to reconcile their differences. The idea of rebuilding their relationship seemed too distant, too unattainable. They were simply existing, getting by, and hoping that someday, somehow, things would improve. But the longer they stayed at the mansion, the more unlikely that seemed. The oppressive environment had completely crushed their spirits, leaving them questioning whether they would ever be able to escape. The dream of a fresh start had turned into a reality far darker than they had ever imagined. They could only hope that one day they would find a way out, but for now, the mansion was their life. And as long as they remained under the watchful eye of the owner, they would never truly be free.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.